Hi there, it's me, Mr. B. We're going to add and subtract rational expressions today. All right, step one, I want to factor the denominators. So as you know, the denominators are the bottom of each fraction. So I want to factor each one separately. All right, so x plus 4, can't factor that. 3x plus 12, I can factor that. So I want to take out the 3 as a GCF. So I'm going to bring out the 3. And then I have x plus 4 left over. So that's the second denominator factored. The first one I'm just going to leave as x plus 4. All right, so step number 2, and this is probably the hardest part, is getting common denominators. So if you can't do this step, then the rest of the problem just won't go very well. So you have to do this right. There's a lot of steps to these problems, but this is a really important one. All right, so I want to find an LCD. So I want to make up my LCD. So in order to do that, I'm going to bring down the whole first denominator. The whole first denominator factored is x plus 4. So I'm going to bring down an x plus 4. Now I look at the second denominator and I ask myself, have I seen this stuff before? Because if I haven't, I need it in the LCD. All right, so I see a 3 there. Do I have a 3 in the LCD? The answer is no, so I need one. Now that's a loner. It doesn't have a plus or minus sign attached to it. So I'm going to put that in the front. So I'm just going to draw parentheses around that x plus 4, put a 3 in the front. Usually loners go in the front. All right, so I have an x plus 4 here. Have I seen an x plus 4? Yep, I got one in the LCD already. I don't need another one. So I have my LCD. So now I need to make each denominator from the original problem, the factored form, look the same. So I have 5 over x plus 4. Well, I need to make this denominator look like the LCD. So in order to do that, I need to figure out what I need, and I need a 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the denominator by 3. If I do it to the denominator, I have to do it to the numerator. All right, so now I'm going to look at the next fraction. And I have a 2 on top. And I'm not going to write the 3x plus 12. I'm going to write the factored form of that denominator. So 3 parentheses x plus 4. All right, so now I want to make that denominator look like my LCD. Well, it turns out that that does already look like my LCD. So I don't actually need to do anything to that second fraction. All right, so now I'm done with step 2, so now I'm going to move on to step 3. All right, I want to make one big fraction. All right, so right now I have 5 over x plus 4, and then I needed a 3 there and a 3 there. I'm just rewriting. So 2, 3x plus 4. All right, so now I want to make one big fraction. So I'm going to put all of this over the LCD. The LCD is 3 parentheses x plus 4. All right, so I go to the first numerator. 5 times 3 is 15. Plus 2. I didn't do anything to that second fraction, so I'm just going to put that numerator there. So that's plus 2. All right, the last step is simplify. I want to take this down and make it as simple as possible. So 15 plus 2, 17. Over 3 parentheses x plus 4. Now let's say that numerator was 18 instead of 17. Well, I could simplify 18 over 3. That would be 6 over 1. But in this case, I can't simplify anything. I can't factor the numerator. It's already factored. It's already prime. I can't do anything else with it. The bottom's already been factored. Can't do anything with that. So this turns out to be my final answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and move over to the first example problem. First step, I want to factor each denominator. Well, the denominators are already factored. All right, so now I want to make an LCD. Well, it turns out that the LCD, since the two denominators are already exactly the same, that's going to be my LCD. All right, so now I want to make each denominator look like the LCD. It already does. So in that case, I can already skip over to step 3. I want to put these two fractions together as one fraction. All right, so 4 over 3x plus 2 over 3x equals, put it all over the LCD. Now I'm going to combine the two numerators. So 4 plus 2 is 6. Now I'm on step 4, which is simplify. It now just becomes a simplifying problem, like we learned in the first topic in this chapter. I have one fraction. I want to factor the top, factor the bottom, cancel stuff out. Well, I have a bunch of loners here, so I can't really factor the top. I can't really factor the bottom, so I want to see if I can simplify. Well, it turns out that 6 over 3 is 2 over 1. So I can put 2 over, and then I don't really need the 1 on the bottom, but I still have an x left, so that's my final answer, 2 over x. Here's example number 2. Now I have groups on the bottom, so that's going to make it a little bit more difficult. So I want to factor each denominator. Well, I can't factor x plus 1. I can't factor x minus 1. Now I want to make my LCD. So I want to bring down the whole first denominator. Now I look to the second denominator to see if I've seen that already. Well, I have not seen an x minus 1 in the LCD. You might say, well, Mr. B, there's an x and a 1 there. Yeah, that's true, but it's a group. So if I don't see that exactly, x minus 1, then I need to bring it down. So I'm going to bring down another group, x minus 1. All right, so now I have my LCD done. Now I want to make each denominator look like my LCD. So let's go ahead and rewrite. I want to make my denominator here look like my LCD. Well, I have an x plus 1, but I'm missing an x minus 1. So let's go ahead and write that. I'm going to put it in red just so you can really see it. If I do it to the bottom, I got to do it to the top. All right, let's go ahead and do the other one. So minus 1 over x minus 1. So I want to see if I'm missing anything on that denominator. I have an x minus 1. I'm missing an x plus 1. So I need an x plus 1. If I do it to the bottom, I got to do it to the top. And you might say, well, those two things are out of order. I have, in this fraction, I have an x minus 1 and an x plus 1, but they're not in the same order as the LCD. Doesn't matter. I'm just looking for the groups or the loners themselves. It doesn't matter what order they're in. I just need all of the things that are in the LCD in each denominator. All right, so let's go ahead and make one big fraction. I'm going to put everything over the LCD, so x plus 1, x minus 1. All right, so now I need to do a little bit of distributing. So I'm going to distribute the 3 to the x minus 1. So I have 3x minus 3. All right, here's an important tip. That 1 on that numerator is not really a 1. It's a negative 1 because this negative sign right here needs to get distributed to all the terms in that numerator, in that second numerator. So what I'm going to do to make it a little easier for me is instead of just distributing a 1, I'll distribute a negative 1 and that takes care of it. So negative 1 times x, negative x. Negative 1 times 1, negative 1. All right, now I'm ready to go ahead and simplify. So I have 3x minus x, so that's 2x. Negative 3 minus 1, that's negative 4, all over the LCD of x plus 1, x minus 1. All right, I can factor the top. So I need to do that. Remember, now it just becomes a simplifying problem. Factor the top, factor the bottom, cancel stuff out. I can do GCF on the top. I have a 2 I can pull out. That leaves x minus 2 left over. All over x plus 1, x minus 1. Well, it doesn't look like I can cross anything out. There's an x plus or an x minus 2 on top. There's no x minus 2s on the bottom. There's a loner of a 2 out in front on the numerator. There's no loners on the bottom. I can't simplify that either. So this turns out to be my final answer. Now you might say, Mr. B, do I need to do that last step because I didn't actually cross anything out? And the answer is definitely yes. So if I would have factored the top, and let's say up top instead of an x minus 2, I would have been left with an x minus 1. Well, then the x minus 1s could have canceled. In this case, they didn't. So I'm okay leaving it in this factored form, but I had to do that step anyway just to check. All right, let's go to the last example. So first step, factor the denominators. So this is difference of 2 squares on that first denominator. GCF on the second denominator, so I can pull out a 3. I have x plus 2 left over. Let's go ahead and make the LCD. First step, making the LCD, bring down the whole first denominator. So x plus 2, whoops, sorry, x minus 2. Okay, so now I look at my second denominator and I say, have I seen all this stuff before? Well, there's a 3. It's a loner of a 3. I haven't seen a 3 yet, so I'm going to write a 3 out front. Here's an x plus 2. Oop, I've seen an x plus 2 right there. I don't need another one. So this turns out to be my whole LCD, 3x plus 2x minus 2. All right, so now I want to make each denominator look like my LCD. So I'm going to rewrite, remember, factored forms for the denominator. I want to make each denominator look like my LCD. Well, I have an x plus 2, I have an x minus 2, but I'm missing a 3. So if I do it to the bottom, I got to do it to the top. Now I go to the next fraction, 7 over 3 parentheses x plus 2. So now I look at the denominator and I see, okay, well, I'm going to compare it to the LCD. So I have a 3 and a 3, x plus 2, but I'm missing an x minus 2. If I do it to the bottom, I got to do it to the top. All right, so now I'm going to rewrite as one fraction using the LCD as the bottom. So 3x plus 2, x minus 2. All right, so now let's put the numerators up top. So I have x times 3, that's 3x. Usually you put the variable last, coefficient goes first. All right, so this is a positive 7. I want to distribute to the x and the negative 2. So plus 7x, 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. All right, so I'm going to make this numerator a little more simple. So 3x plus 2, x minus 2 on the bottom. Up top, 3x plus 7x is 10x minus 14. Now it becomes a simplifying problem. Factor the top, factor the bottom, cancel stuff out. I can factor the top. I can take a 2 out. I can pull a 2 out for the GCF. So I have 2 parentheses. 10x divided by 2 is 5x. 14 divided by 2 is 7, all over the LCD. And it looks like I cannot cross anything out. The 2 and the 3, can't simplify that anymore. There's a 5x minus 7 up top. There isn't one on the bottom, so that's it. I'm done with that.